All right, good Thursday evening, everybody. Storm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Ken South here with your updated weather forecast, which is going to bring us a lot of rain for the weekend. We've been needing rain for a while. It's just not great timing that it's coming in over the weekend. We had rain last weekend. In fact, we had severe weather last weekend. So that happens sometimes. We get into a pattern where we get storms, but they come in at about the same time every week. So I'm hoping this is not going to be a trend where we get storms every weekend, but so far it looks like it's going to be 2 in a row. That does mean, however, that tomorrow is looking good. We're going to see another nice fall day on your Friday. It's just that it's going to be kind of a transition day as high pressure moves away. Our winds are going to pick up from the southeast. That's going to bring up the dew point and the humidity, so more moisture in the air to work with that storm moving in from out west. The extra clouds and moisture in the air is going to keep our temperatures up tonight, and it's going to be kind of a warm day tomorrow with temperatures expected to be in the mid-80s for highs. There you see those clouds rolling in. These are not rainmakers yet, but we are going to get rainmakers starting Saturday and especially Sunday. I think that's going to be the wet day of the weekend. 56 degrees right now, so it is nice and cool out there, but the past couple of nights we've fallen back into the mid-40s. That's not going to happen tonight. We're only going to drop into the low 50s at best. May see some upper 40s to the north and to the east of us. And then tomorrow, a big warm-up as those winds increase from the southeast and we see a mix of sun and clouds. We're going to be in the lower to mid-80s for highs. No worries, though, for high school football. I think after the sun goes down, temperatures are going to drop through the 70s and into the 60s on your Friday night under, let's say, partly cloudy skies. All right, here's our next weather maker. Now, the big question with this storm coming in out of the southern plains, will the warm front move across part of Mississippi before the cold front gets to us? And if that happens, that's going to put us in the warm sector of this frontal system where the atmosphere is most unstable and where we can see some pretty volatile weather. I'm thinking at a minimum we're going to get heavy rain, thunderstorms, and we're likely going to see some strong storms and maybe even some severe storms in South Mississippi because, take a look, I do think that the warm front is going to at least move over the southwestern part of the state. That's going to put them under the gun for severe storms. Now, severe weather most likely in southeast Texas and South Louisiana. We just can't rule out some of those getting a little bit farther to the north into South Mississippi. Now, that's going to be Saturday night. Going into Sunday, the chance of rain is going to be up to 90%. And not only that, we're going to see heavy rain at times. So we're looking at the potential for at least 2 to 3 inches of rain. But rainfall totals are going to be highest the farther south and west you live. So rainfall totals of 4, maybe even up to 5 inches of rain, not out of the question, in our river counties and down around South Mississippi, including parts of the Pine Belt. So again, good news for drought-stricken areas. Although central and South Mississippi, we aren't seeing the worst of the drought. It's really the northern part of the state, the eastern part and down towards the Gulf Coast, where we have seen the driest conditions. And the drought is getting a little bit better. Now, these numbers came out today, so these are new numbers. And from last week, our moderate drought area is down, I believe, from 43% to 34%. So that's a pretty big drop. So now about a third of the state considered to be in drought conditions, mainly again in the Delta, North and East Mississippi. And if we get 3, 4, 5 inches of rain, that's going to do a lot to really kill the drought as we get into the month of November. That's what you would expect. We're getting into our wet season as we head into wintertime. All right, we are not in winter yet, and we're still in hurricane season, and there's going to be a bad one, I'm afraid, in the Caribbean. Thankfully, we think this is going to stay in the Caribbean. It's not going to get into the Gulf. But Melissa, still just a tropical storm. In fact, weaker than yesterday. The top winds are now down to 45 miles per hour. But I think the convection is in the process of starting to wrap around the center of the storm, and it's moving into an environment that is conducive for development. We've got very warm water still over the Caribbean, and they're very light winds aloft with the storm. That helps evacuate the air from the top of the storm, which helps it to grow. And grow, this storm is going to do. It's going to develop into a hurricane, and over the weekend, it's going to blow up into a major hurricane. It's going to be either a Category 3 or 4 as it spins around Jamaica over the course of at least a couple of days, maybe even 3 days. And at 145 mile per hour winds, it's going to be on the verge of beginning of being a Category 5 hurricane. So whether it makes a direct hit in Jamaica or it just batters Jamaica for 2-3 days, with 120, 30, 40 mile per hour winds. It's going to be bad news for them either way. So not a good scenario shaping up for Jamaica this weekend and early next week. Now eventually, notice the storm does start to turn to the north. I think it's going to turn to the north and then move northeast, which means it's going to cut across Cuba, probably eastern Cuba, and then move across the Bahamas. Although it's not going to linger in those areas like it's going to linger around Jamaica. It should move through pretty quickly once it starts to pick up some momentum in that direction. But still, bad storm for Jamaica and Cuba and the Bahamas this weekend and early next week. Thankfully, it's not going to be an issue for us. All right, forecast for tonight, partly cloudy, about 50 first thing in the morning, and then tomorrow, winds pick up from the southeast. We'll see a mix of sun and cloud, your high temperature at 82 degrees. And here's a look at our next 8 days. Wet weekend, especially Sunday. Stray showers are going to linger Monday. A front comes in about Tuesday, Wednesday. Not a great chance of rain with a front, but it is going to make a difference temperature-wise. After Tuesday, look at what happens to our temperatures. We're going to see 60s for highs, and we'll be down into the low 40s for lows by the time we get to Halloween. So Halloween's going to be nice and sunny, no issues with the weather, except that it is going to be kind of chilly for trick-or-treaters. We're going to be at 64 in the afternoon, but as soon as the sun goes down, I think temperatures immediately drop through the 50s, and we're likely going to be in the 40s Halloween evening. So a little bit chilly outside for trick-or-treating, but you know what? It should be that way on Halloween. All right, that is it for your forecast for tonight. Meteorologist Megan Hanna is going to be here first thing in the morning with your next update. Until then, have a good night.